So Christianity makes some remarkable claims that, if you look at the different denominations, I don't think they make that much claim. So the amount of distinctions of the claims they make is actually quite small compared to the amount of radical difference that Islam would make to the Christian faith. Islam says that Jesus never died. Well, dude, if you got that, then the whole Christian game's gone. And the Jewish faith says Jesus never resurrected. Well, if you got that, then what's the point of the Christian? So you're making amazingly radically deep claims. The Hindu faith says, well, Jesus is one of the several gods, right? And so, so there are radical things that the Judeo-Christian faith wouldn't say. Whereas if you look at the different denominations, I think there are little epsilon tweaks of one another that all have kind of a central core.
Is there some kind of epistemological significance to the proliferation of kind of metaphysical traditions?
You know, some people think that disagreement is supposed to be a reason to suspend judgment, right? When a bunch of reasonable people seem to have different matters on a view, the reasonable thing that a lot of epistemologists would say to do is that you ought to hold your judgment with a little less confidence than you did before if you recognize that there's someone with whom you disagree and who seems equally informed. Given what you've said, though, I'm not super sure exactly what the extent of that is, because if you think that there are epsilon tweaks on each other, right? That's a very mathy way of putting, you know. right. But
that's all I got.
Right, but in those cases, you might not take as much epistemological significance. But I do think that the latter thing, if you take that idea that disagreement is a symptom that one ought to suspend judgment, then it looks like the radically different religious faiths. If you recognize that someone can be reasonable, right, and be Muslim, and be reasonable and be Jewish, right, I would wonder why that doesn't make you think that, well, maybe I ought to suspend judgment in whether or not, you know, Christ was resurrected. Yeah,
I mean, certainly it's true that if I do see somebody who's thought through and say, listen, man, I've looked at the evidence. And let's take you as an example. I was like, I just don't buy this thing. I believe, you know, atheism is the right way to go. Secular humanism is. And I have friends deeply committed who are Hindu, right? A lot of my family back home, and Muslim. And for me, at the end of the day, we're all making opposing faith claims. We're making opposing claims on truth. It's not the fact that we have different lenses and looking at truth differently. It's just the fact that what we think is in the center is radically different, right? And so someone has to be right. Or maybe, most likely, maybe we're all wrong, right? But to me, my guess is, well, from what I can see, from my perspective, it seems like this is it. To say that another person is wrong, I'm completely comfortable saying that. To dismiss them as less than human, that's incredibly dangerous. Right? To say that, Conor, man, from what you think, it's cool, but I just don't buy it. Right? I think you got this wrong. That's okay. But to say that, and because of that, I'm going to view you less, that I find incredibly dangerous and incredibly wrong. So I think it's okay to actually disagree, right? And to say we're actually looking at different things and we just don't buy it. I think one of us has to be right or wrong. I'm comfortable to live in that. And I would like to honor and trust my friends who are struggling with these things along with me. But I wouldn't judge them in that sense.